Have you seen the guys with the manly hair on the face this season on the Amazing Race? Two best friends, Joel and Garrett, chasing down the $1 million carrot. Where will you go? How far will you go? If you want to know, watch the next episode. Two pals palling around, span the globe, representing their home in Idaho. Facial hair gods, two dad bods, met in the army, served in the same squad. Every girl's hall pass will be Joel and Garrett from now on.
Hey everyone, it's America's team.
America's team. I like that.
We're back. We're the team everyone's talking about.
That's what they all called us, at least, when we were on the show. America's team.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, those pesky America's team.
Yeah. So we got to start by talking about the U-turn vote, because that's how this episode begins. Obviously, the racers were divided between Chelsea and Robin and Steve and Annalee. We were clearly in the camp of U-turning Steve and Annalee, which I think was definitely the right call.
The correct camp. But don't tell Annalee that we said that. Yeah,
don't tell Annalee that U-turning her was the way to go.
She gets fired up.
I think she does. But here's the deal. Yeah, I've seen a lot of comments out there. A lot of people think that Chelsea and Robin was the right vote. That wasn't the right vote. The right vote was the team that was going to pick us off one by one. And that is Steve and Annalee.
The right vote is different for each person, too.
That is true. I will consent. Like, for example, it was the right vote to vote Chelsea and Robin for, Liam and Jeremy.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge them that.
Sorry.
Even though I tried to talk Liam into voting for Steve and Annalee, and he wasn't having it.
He's so mad now because he's like, "How dare you? Why didn't you vote for Chelsea and Robin?"
If we had, they'd still be here. But we had told Chelsea and Robin early on we would never U-turn them. We had made an agreement with them. We had a good relationship with them.
And when he says early on, what he means is we basically met them, and that was it. We didn't even know them yet, and he's already saying, "Oh, I promise you, we will never U-turn you."
It was still.
And I'm just sitting in the back, shaking my head, like, what if they stab us in the back? You're still not going to U-turn them?
Well, I mean, that would change things.
Well, you said never. 100 years.
True. 100 years, 100%, something like that. All right. So anyway, if you think that we should have U-turned, if you think that we should have been in the camp for U-turning Chelsea and Robin, tell us why in the comments, and then we'll tell you why you're wrong. Okay. So here we go.
Sorry that he made that joke again.
Thing is, I know things. All you Monday morning quarterbacks, just back off, okay? You don't know what you're talking about.
100%. I still think it was the right move.
It was
in that moment. Here's the other thing with Annalee. She is such a hardcore player. Like she's smart. She thinks things through. There's just so much about her that made us nervous.
And lest you think we don't have warm, fuzzy feelings for Annalee or Steve, we're good friends with them.
We love them.
We love them. To this day, then and now, we love them, and we do not regret voting for them. That's what we should have done. So, all right. So we start the leg. We took our rickshaw to that shoe shop across from the Hawa Mahal. We figured out how to use the monocular.
It took a minute. I tried to use it like binoculars, where you rotate the thing and try to clear up the vision. It didn't work. Yeah. Once we realized you had to move it in and out to clear up the vision.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what? Before we got to that shoe shop, our taxi driver took us right by that lot where all the rickshaws were in that big mess, and we thought that's where we were headed. Yeah. And then we're like, wait, that's not a shoe shop. So when we were at the Hawa Mahal looking at the window and reading the clue, we knew eventually we were headed back to that lot where the rickshaws were because we saw the race flags there.
Yeah, we saw race flags on the poles where you take the rickshaw out of the maze. And so when we saw those race flags, we thought, oh, is this where we're supposed to be? We weren't sure. Anyways, since we knew we hadn't found the shoe shop, we had to leave that area.
Yep.
But luckily we knew right where that was once we
passed the spinning guy. What was with that spinning kid?
Yeah, that guy.
He was weird. He was spinning for a long time.
He followed us around too.
Yeah, he kept spinning along with us as we went for the clue box. It was weird. All right, so we had that little mustache montage at that moment where we're talking about Smythe's mustache. And I think it's time for you to fill the viewers in on the mustache and the magic of it.
So the mustache it's actually a thing. It's not just a mustache. A lot of people might think that I just have a mustache and that's the end of it, but no. So people have been guessing that maybe, I'm in witness protection. Some people thought, maybe the producers put me up to it and they thought, oh, it'd be good to have a mustache with his beard.
Some people just think you're a pervert.
Some people think that maybe Strasser put me up to it.
I did.
He did. So here's the thing with the mustache. Every November I grow a mustache for No Shave November. The reason it all started was back in the early time when I first started doing it, we at UPS, we weren't allowed to grow beards at the time. We could only do mustaches. So every November, a bunch of us would grow mustaches for No Shave November and then shave them off at the end of the month. But my thought was, I've got to make it better than that. So what I did is at the end of the month, I took a bunch of pictures of myself with the mustache, acting like my mustache was the most epic thing you've ever seen.
Which it is.
Well, it might be now.
No, it even was then.
From
the start. From
he
the
always
very
thought
beginning.
it was. I couldn't really handle it for 1 month growth. So I made a mustache card, and I handed it out to all my customers on my route. And so I'm handing out all these mustache cards, just making jokes at the end of each November. So as I'm doing this, one year, Strasser tells me, hey, you should grow that mustache for a full year and see what it does for your life.
I made you a promise.
He said, if you grow that for a full year, it will change your life.
And look.
And guess what happened? I said, no, not this year. And so I didn't do it that year.
Nope.
But the following year, I finally thought, okay, I'm going to give him the chance. So my mustache card that year, it had a QR code where people could vote if I keep the mustache for 1 full year.
Yep.
The results were...
overwhelmingly positive for keeping the mustache.
Over 80% of the
voting public.
Yeah. Said to keep it against my wife's wishes.
Yep.
So that's what happened. That's why I have the mustache. I decided to keep it for 1 full year. And funny story, yesterday, which was the airing of this episode, was the official 1 full year mark.
Your mustache is 1 year old. Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Happy late birthday. Not you, the mustache.
Oh, sorry.
Happy birthday, mustache.
We celebrate. we celebrated by watching the episode 6. And they did a
I can't stop laughing about your mustache trying to talk.
And they did a montage in celebration of its birthday.
On its 1 year birthday.
So,
all right. So we got our rickshaw. We got okay. We didn't know that all of the rickshaw drivers were women. We hadn't seen Phil's little montage about it, but our rickshaw driver was not a very good driver. He's
not being like that.
Not like that.
We got lost a lot.
We're pretty certain.
She was a fine driver. She did fine driving.
Did she? I think she was not from Jaipur, and she had never driven a rickshaw before, and she didn't even speak. I mean, it seemed like they grabbed a random person who had zero experience with anything, put the uniform on, and said, drive these guys. She asked for directions so many times. She would stop and ask somebody for directions and then go like 100 feet and stop and ask another person for directions. We thought we had the worst driver, but it turns out they were all kind of like that according to the other teams.
I do wonder if maybe they're from a different part of town and they didn't bring them into this part of town where they weren't as familiar.
There's no way they were familiar with Jaipur. And we all agreed. We talked about it later. We're like, we think they're playing a joke on us. They're bringing in these drivers from somewhere else.
But we also don't know how long they had been driving. Maybe she was new. Maybe she just got the job, a few weeks ago.
Stop trying to make excuses for her.
She was a horrible driver. Great.
No, you didn't.
She was super nice.
Stop kissing up after
you saw me sitting in the front seat next to her.
That's right. Yeah, you did. But anyway, it turns out she was no worse than most of the others. We knew later, but at the time we were frustrated.
Yeah, we thought for sure we were getting way behind because of the fact that we could not find where we were going.
Yeah, so she eventually got us to the detour where we were going to do the bricks. We picked the bricks and the gravel and the sand because I like riding my bike, as we said in the episode, but this thing was nothing like my bike. The rickshaw was so rickety. It was wobbly. It was falling apart. It was
and he didn't know how big the back of it was. Like
I was used to not having a big butt end on that thing.
In his mind, as long as the bike that he was sitting on could fit through a gap, he just would go for that gap.
And then the rear end would smash against things.
And I kept saying, you gotta go left, and boom.
Yeah, I hit a few things.
The first time we hit somebody, I wasn't sure what to do. Luckily, he works in the insurance industry, and he said, you don't do anything, you just ride off.
That is not how it works. And I do not support that message. I say nothing. But after you hit like 4 or 5 scooters and rickshaws and cars, it just starts to feel normal, and then you just keep going with it.
Yeah, we come to find out that's just how things are.
Things just smash there. Yeah. So, okay, while we were going around, we got hopelessly lost. Here is a map of the route that we should have taken from the yard where we picked up the supplies to the Belay colony where they were. And now here is a map of the route we actually took.
You know, that first
all
map,
over town.
That first map that we just showed, I didn't even realize how much of a straight shot that was until Strasser was explaining it to me, saying, look at this map, man. This was easiest route.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness, we were everywhere.
We went all over the place, not because we were just wanting to, because people were giving us directions. We asked for directions no less than 25 times.
We had a little kid on a bike.
Oh, that
And
kid.
he said, oh, I'll show you how to get there.
That little bad
He said, follow
word.
me.
I want to...
He starts riding his bike, and we're following him, but
He spoke good English.
He wasn't taking us where we needed to be.
He spoke really good English. He's super nice. He's like, I know right where that is. I'll take you.
He took us into a neighborhood. We're in between all these, like, houses, I guess.
And then he disappeared.
Yeah, he takes us deep inside this neighborhood, and then he just rides off.
And we're like, well, and we were nowhere near where we needed to go.
How do we get out of
He was just
here?
laughing his head off. We got so lost. And people will, we've said this before, but it was the same thing. People would confidently give us directions.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I don't understand you, or I don't know what you're looking for, or I don't speak English, or any of those things, they'd be like, oh, yes, this way. And it was always wrong. Oh, so frustrating.
Eventually, though, once we got our water, our magical
the
elliptical, is that what you called it?
Elixir of life? I don't know.
I thought it was an elliptical. Once we got that water, that kind of like calmed us, I think.
I was having heat stroke
It
of
was
some
bad.
kind. I was having
yeah.
My vision was getting black from the sides. I probably should have had an IV. Like I really should have had an IV because I was seriously struggling and almost passing out. I almost puked. In fact, I did puke a little, but it was mostly dry heaving because I had nothing in my stomach to puke. But anyways, when we finally got to the place where we dropped off the bricks, the gravel, and the sand, there were all these people just standing around there, this big mob.
A lot of kids, too.
Lots of kids.
I think they saw cameras around and they were like, oh, what's going on here? And then more and more people just started gathering around this area where we were dropping them off.
There was a slight downhill going away from there.
That was the best part because that's when I could just... I know it looked like I might have been riding in that thing the whole time. I was pushing it a lot of the time. And so in that moment, when we were going downhill, I was like, oh, good. I'm just going to sit here and let gravity take us down.
And the kids made us feel like Rocky Balboa running through the streets of Philadelphia. Because they were running with us, and they were cheering, and they were running along. It was a cool shot.
It was awesome.
They didn't put it in the show, but you can imagine it.
Yes. Use your own mind.
Look how epic that is in your mind's eye. So after we brought our textiles to the roadblock and started going in on the roadblock, it wasn't that hard after I kind of figured the trick out.
This one was difficult for me because when we first read the clue, what did it say? Who wants to play with blocks?
Yeah.
And so you have no idea what that means.
No clue that it had to do with any paint.
It was his turn anyways, and he plays with blocks all the time. It's his favorite. Mm-hmm. Once I saw what he was doing, I realized it's kind of similar to screen printing, which I do screen printing. That's been a hobby of mine for a long time.
Get your merch. Get your merch. Get your Joel and Garrett team merch.
That was not meant to be an opportunity for Strasser to flex in the camera. But he'll take advantage anytime he can.
Yeah.
And so when I saw what they were doing, it's not, obviously screen printing is different than that because this is more of stamps, but screen printing is similar where you do layer the colors like that. Mm-hmm. And so then I was thinking, I wonder if I would have had an advantage in this because of that.
So while I'm doing the roadblock, I see Anna Lee and Steve arrive, and Steve starts on his, and Anna Lee goes right up to Smythe and everybody else.
We knew what was coming. We talked about it beforehand. The way Anna Lee is, we knew that she was going to investigate and figure out what happened to cause her to get U-turned. So as soon as she came up to me or started, I guess came up to all of us, started asking everybody, right away Morgan and Alina said, no, we didn't do it. Todd and Ashley said no. And then, of course, she turns to me, which I expected. And she said, "What about you, punk?"
Yeah.
I think that's how she phrased it.
Pretty much.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, we U-turned you."
Yeah. And we kind of meant it as a compliment because they really were going to pick us off if we didn't do something.
The thing with Steve and Annalee is now, I don't know if it's every leg, but almost every leg, if not every leg, up to this point, we're like side by side. Like, they're ahead of us. We might jump them, but then they immediately jump us again. So it's constantly between us and them has been a battle for the lead between the two of us. And it was a situation where we just felt like we got to do something to get them far enough back that we don't have to stress about them, being right up on us.
I think that Corey and Andrea weren't as prepared for the question of did you U-turn us as we were. And they were kind of flat-footed when she's like, who U-turned us? And they're like,
I think also Corey might have been a little relieved that I was honest about it. Because Corey and Rob are great people. Corey is a super nice guy. He does not have a bad bone in his body.
No maliciousness in that
No,
guy.
not at all. And so I think he might have been worried about, like, this situation where, do I have to lie? Or, like, what am I going to do here? He was probably relieved that I just right away was like, yeah, we did it. Because then he was like, okay, now I can just straight up be straight up about it, too. And so Corey was also straight up about it. And Annalee wasn't happy, but I do feel like it was good for us that we were honest about it. It kind of made things a little bit better. And then when Andrea said, no, we didn't U-turn you, at that point, I'm starting to do the math in my head. In my mind, there was a lot of talk about Chelsea and Robin and Steve and Annalee.
Yeah.
And so, imagining that it's just those two up for the U-turn, my thought was either Liam and Jeremy voted for Steve and Annalee, or somebody's not telling the truth.
Yep. So, with that behind us, we leave the roadblock. By the way, my hand was bruised big time from smacking that wooden stamp over and over again. The next day, it was all purple and yellow. We get in the rickshaw, and all day long, our driver had been wrong. Every time we had asked to go somewhere, she had no clue. We see that it says to go to the pit stop at the Body Chopper traffic circle. And for the first time all day, she seemed confident. She's like, I know where that is.
We come up on this T intersection. The map says turn left. And we get up to that intersection. She starts to go to the right. And I was like, no, left. And she says Body Chopper and points to the right. And I was like, the map says left. I was like, you're not doing this to us again.
You've been screwing us over all day.
Like,
so we made her
go
turn
left.
And then it took a little...
And she kept saying, after she turned left, she kept pointing back, Body Chopper, Body Chopper. And so finally we were like, is Body Chopper that way? And she's like, yeah. We're like, okay, turn around. I hope you're right.
Yep, and she was.
She was right.
That's how Corey and Rob passed us. That's how we went from second to third. We ended up just like a minute behind them. It didn't make a big difference in the grand scheme.
At least it wasn't a race for first. If it would have been a race for first, that would have been very disappointing. But
yeah. All right, so it's time, and this is the part I dread, but it's time that we give a tribute to the team that got eliminated this week.
Those
Liam and
beautiful
Jeremy.
men.
Oh, they're so beautiful. All right. Liam and Jeremy.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's hard to watch them go.
Those guys are a lot of fun, and they're hilarious.
So
Those guys are both hilarious.
I'm laughing just thinking about them. They made us laugh so much. They had everybody laughing all the time.
Their sarcasm is just on point, you know?
Oh, yeah. They got that down to an art form.
And that's like my kind of humor. I love that kind of humor. And so when you can keep a straight face and act like you're not trying to be funny, but you're saying something that is extremely funny, and then it's up to the people to figure out if you're really joking or if you're being serious, that's just my kind of humor. And those guys are good at it, I'll tell you.
At one point, we were on a plane, and I think it was when we were traveling to India. I was sitting right behind Liam, and we were both against the window. And I see Liam's hand come down, just kind of hanging down beside the seat. So his hand's like right in front of me. So I just decided to reach forward and just grab onto his hand and just hold on to it. And then all of a sudden he perks up and he turns around and he goes, did we just become best friends? And to that I say yes. Yes, we did. And yes, we are.
And then he did a callback to that. And I can't even remember what we were talking about, but I just remember him saying, We'll always have that moment on the airplane.
That's right. I'm glad it was as special for him as it was for me. Here's to you, Liam and Jeremy.
Oh,
we love you guys. So, Liam and Jeremy gave us this little clip of them signing off in their own style. Take it away, boys.
All right, good morning, y'all. I am Liam Heichel. I am one half of the Heichel Brothers team on season 35 of The Amazing Race. And I just wanted to come on here and just say how grateful I am to have been able to share this experience with my brother. The relationship that we've built has been everything to me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. This is such an invaluable experience for me, and I loved every moment of it. All the cast members, all the other teams, all the production, loved everything. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We had such a blast being up here with y'all. Sad to see us go, but it is what it is, right?
What's up, guys? Jeremy here from the Heichel Brothers team. We just got eliminated. So sad, but I just want to come on here and say how grateful I am to the production team who put on this entire race, to all the cast members. We met some of the most incredible and amazing people that I've ever met in my life. And to Liam for just being open to this opportunity with me and for being brave enough to take this journey with me. It's been nothing but incredible things and opportunities that we've been able to do, and I'm just so eternally grateful for it. So I appreciate all y'all's love and support. We both do, and let's cheer on the rest of the season.
All right, Liam and Jeremy.
Oh my gosh.
You guys. We love you.
You got us good.
Yeah. So, all right. This is America's team signing off. See you in the next episode, everyone.